on a lesson 8, Write Rectangular Prisms. That is on page IN57. It's near the end of your book. And let's look at our solve and share.
What are some ways these solid figures are alike? How are they different?
So we have some solid figures here. And what are we asked to do? Well, we want to know how the solid figures are alike and how they are different. So what do we already know? Well, we already know about this figure right here, and that's what? It is a cube. So let's start looking at these two figures, our cube and our other solid figure. So let's try to think of some ways that they are alike. So what do we notice first? If we had those two things, what could we do with them? What do you think you could do with them? You could stack them. So let's write that. They can be stacked. Oh, there we go. They can be stacked. Okay, so that's one way that they are alike. What else? What else have we learned about solid figures and about other plane shapes as well? They have what? They have faces, edges, and vertices. That's right, they have all those things. What else do we know about them? What do they look like? You might be getting deliveries of these. They look like boxes, okay? They look like boxes. So that's how they are alike. So we're going to say that's how they are alike. And you know what? I want to label this. So I'm going to put this, how they are alike. I should put that to begin with. Now, how are they different? How do you think they're different? What do you notice about this? Okay, so the cube has faces that are what? Squares. So the cube has faces that are squares. So that's one way they're different. And then the other solid shape has squares and rectangles. So the other solid shape has faces that are squares and rectangles. Anything else? One is what? Green, and one is blue. So we'll say the solids are different colors. So those are the things that we notice that are different about them both. So we wrote a lot of different things here. So we said that they can be stacked. That's how they're alike. They have faces, edges, and vertices, and they look like boxes. How are they different? The cube has faces that are squares. All the faces are squares. And then the other solid shape has faces that are squares. Here's the square here. And the other side that we can't see, that would be a square as well. And it has rectangles for this other sides. So we're going to learn more, I think, about this solid shape. Are you ready to learn more? So you can pause the video so you can finish writing those things. And now we're going to move on. We're going to watch our video. So let's get ready to learn more about our other new solid shape we're going to learn about. And that's called a right rectangular prism.
A rectangular prism is a solid figure with 6 rectangular faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices. Why are the dotted lines helpful in the drawing?
So why do you think they're helpful?
The dotted lines...
Why do you think they're helpful? Because then they show us the edges that we cannot see when we look at a solid rectangular prism. So they're helping us see what we cannot see because the shape is solid.
show the edges you cannot see when you look at a solid rectangular prism. How is a rectangular prism different from a cube?
So how is it different from a cube? What are you noticing that is different? So when we look at it, we could see. What do we see here? We have faces that are what? Rectangles. So we have faces that are rectangles and squares. In a cube, all the faces are what? They are all squares. So in a rectangular prism, we have faces that are rectangles and squares.
In a rectangular prism, the faces can be squares or rectangles. In a cube, all faces are squares. A cube is a special type of rectangular prism. It has 6 equal faces. You can use cubes to build rectangular prisms in different ways. Which rectangular prism is made from 6 cubes? Select your answer.
So let's see. We can count them. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one's got 6, and let's count this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's both prisms. So we'll move that up there.
Both rectangular prisms are made from 6 cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What shapes of rectangular prisms can you build?
So let's see what we can build. It says drag the cubes to make new shapes. So we could put a shape there. What are we going to build? I think I can only build one there. Okay. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can build like that. So we could build something that's like that. So there's various ways you can put your 6 shapes.
Now you know about rectangular prisms and cubes.
Good job!
Yes, good job. So now we're going to practice. So now we need to be on IN58. It says circle the rectangular prisms in the group of shapes. Be ready to explain how you know they are rectangular prisms. Well, we know in a rectangular prism, the faces can be squares or rectangles. So let's look at these shapes right here. I'm going to get a pen. Let's look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shapes. So now we have to look at them. A rectangular prism, the faces can be squares or rectangles. Do we see any squares or rectangles there? No. Do we see squares and rectangles here? No, that's a triangle. And here they were circles. How about here? Do we see squares and rectangles? Yes. So this one we're going to circle. We're going to circle this shape right here. Here we have a shape. I'm seeing a face that's a triangle, and the bottom of it is probably a square. So we have a triangle. Does that make that a rectangular prism? No. Now here I have sides that are what? Rectangles. Rectangles. So can I circle this one? Yes, it's a rectangular prism because I have sides that are rectangles. So I'm going to circle this. I'm going to circle this right now. Oop. Now it says circle the shapes that could be a face of a rectangular prism. Do you remember what 2 shapes are the faces of rectangular prisms? Are circles the face of a rectangular prism? No. Are squares? Yes. Yes, let's circle the face. Let's circle that because that's one of the faces. How about a triangle? Is a triangle the face of a rectangular prism? No, it is not. So we would not circle a triangle. How about a rectangle? Yes, a rectangle is one of the faces of a rectangular prism. How about a triangle? No, a triangle is not, so we're definitely not going to circle the triangle. Now, let's read our Do You Understand? It says, what solid figure can have 2 square faces, 4 rectangular faces, and 8 vertices? What do you think it is? If you said a rectangular prism, you're right, because that's what that would be, a rectangular prism. So let's write that, rectangular prism. You know what shape always reminds me of a rectangular prism? Like maybe a cereal box or a tissue box. Those definitely remind me of a rectangular prism. Those are definitely those shapes, boys and girls. I want to move that. Oops, it's not letting me move, so we'll just have to leave that there. So there we go, a rectangular prism. So now let's see what you have to do. We're going to leave our page here. Now we're going to have to look and see which of these shapes are rectangular prisms in number 3 and 4, and what could be the face of a rectangular prism. Now here, you're going to draw a rectangular prism, and you get to use your dot paper. You've done that before. And here we have our higher order thinking our HOTS questions. I think you'll be able to handle that. And now we have some problem solving. Oh, we have one of my favorite examples of a rectangular, I'm not going to say, I almost said it. But here's a cereal box, and that's a good example of this solid shape. Okay? And here you're going to look at that and you're going to decide, does that have the shape of a rectangular prism? And then you're going to say why or why not. Okay? And then you have number 9 and 10. And you're going to complete that. Good job, boys and girls. I think you're knowing a lot about a rectangular prism. And I bet if you look around your house, you can find a lot of things that are the same shape as a rectangular prism. They're all around us. Good job.